Welcome back, friends. Myself, Dr. Jibran Ahmad, brings to you Simply Pathology, and today we are back with a very interesting lecture. So, without wasting any time, let us start. So, today's topic of discussion is a little different from our usual video lectures, okay? But this is very important, especially this is very important for all the MBBS aspirants in India, all of those Indian students who are studying MBBS in abroad and are planning to come back to India, and any person who wishes to practice medicine in India. So today we are going to discuss NEXT, and NEXT is 3-in-1. So why I am calling it 3-in-1 will be quite apparent in the following placards. Okay. So what is NEXT? NEXT stands for the National Exit Exam for anyone, for any person, whether he be Indian or he be of foreign origin. Okay, so anyone who wishes to practice medicine in India. Okay. And when do we expect that NEXT will come into effect? So NEXT is going to be conducted hopefully in March 2022. Okay, so in March 2022 we are going to conduct NEXT, but there is one thing, that this has been decided, but because of the pandemic situation this might be postponed. But I would advise all the students who have taken admission into the MBBS course from 2017 onward to prepare for NEXT. So it's very important that this NEXT, okay, it is for who are going to give this exam. So this National Exit Exam is for all the final MBBS students. Okay, so those students who have joined in 2017 and onwards, they are going to sit for an exit exam. It is also a licentiating exam. Okay, so one of the group of students who are going to give this exam are the final MBBS students. Now the second group of people are also those students. Okay, it will also serve as a single common entrance exam for post graduation, and it is going to replace the NEET PG exams. Okay, thirdly, this will also serve as an MCI screening test, thus replacing the FMGE exam. So all the foreign medical graduates who are studying in different universities across the world, for example, Philippines, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, Ukraine, Russia, China. So from all these countries, anyone and everyone who is reading MBBS will have to come back and give the NEXT exam. So NEXT will be a common entrance exam for final MBBS students, for postgraduate aspirants, as well as for foreign medical graduates. So it is going to be a common or a single window exam. So NEXT is going to have two main parts. One is NEXT 1. So remember, the NEXT 1 is a theoretical exam. It is a theoretical MCQ based exam, and as I have used two important terms, it is a qualifying exam. Means what? That there has to be or there will be a certain cutoff. Okay, so if you clear that cutoff, you will qualify NEXT 1, and on the basis of this qualifying marks you can then enter the internship. It is also serving as a competitive exam, means on the basis of the NEXT 1 score you are going to be allotted a postgraduate seat. So it is both a qualifying exam as well as a competitive exam. Whereas on the other hand, the NEXT 2, it is a practical exam and it is post internship exam, and it is just a pass or a fail exam. So you need to pass NEXT 2 exam if you want to practice in India, okay, or if you have to carry out post graduation in India. So moving ahead, let us look at what is the basic timeline. Okay, so for example, we have MBBS final year students and we have certain repeaters, those who have failed NEXT exam, or those who have already passed MBBS exams, before 2022, and they want to appear for the post-graduation examination, as well as the foreign medical graduate students. So all of them will first give the NEXT 1, which is the theoretical exam. If they do not qualify, then they have to wait 1 year. So there is no supplementary examination. You have to wait for one whole year. Okay, But if you qualify for next one, then you are going to go for internship, and if you qualify the after completion of your internship, you are going to sit for next two, which is a practical exam. Now if you fail that exam, again you have to sit for next two and you have to clear it. But if you pass that exam, then two things will happen. One thing is that you are going to get a license to practice, okay, and the second thing is that you will be eligible for post graduation, and on the basis of the marks you received in next one, you are going to be given a post graduation seat. Okay, yes, you get a license to practice and you get a post graduation. So next one, so let us see in details about the next one and what will be the pattern of next one. So next one, first of all, it's a theoretical exam, okay, and multiple choice questions will be coming, okay. It is an MCQ based exam. Thirdly, okay, it is qualifying as well as a competitive exam. Qualifying means you have to clear next one if you have to continue with your internship, and competitive because on the basis of the next one score, you are going to get a seat in post graduation after next two. Now it will be an online CBT or computer based examination or test. Okay, there is going to be 540 MCQs. Right now in case of NEET PG as well as FMG, we are having 300 MCQs, and this exam means that is the NEET PG, the current NEET PG is just a single day exam, whereas next one there will be 540 MCQs, 6 papers, 2 sessions per day, and there will be total 3-day exam, a 3-day long exam with a pre-lunch around 3 hours and a post-lunch 1.5 hour session. So it is going to be a lot more lengthy exam. And out of all the questions, 60% will be problem solving question, 30% will be comprehension and analysis, and 10% will be recall question. Now, how these questions will appear, I will be discussing those in details in the further placards. So the pattern of next one exam, what is going to be the pattern? So this is going to be the pattern of next one exam. So if it is the day one, on the day one of exam, the major subjects and allied subjects will be tested. So on day one, you will have medicine and allied subjects, that is dermatology and psychiatry, and the total number of MCQs for the major subjects and the allied subject will be 120. Similarly, for the minor subject, on day one will be pediatrics, and the number of questions allotted, number of MCQs allotted will be 60 for a total of 180 questions on day one. On day two, we will be having surgery and allied subjects, including orthopedics, anesthesia, as well as ENT, and the total number of MCQs will be 180. And on day three, you will be having obstetrics, gynecology, and allied subjects, including radiology and ophthalmology, for a total of 180 questions. So if we are going to see the total number of MCQs, okay, in all the 3 days is going to be 540. So among this above 540 MCQs, as we have discussed, 60 will be problem solving, 30 will be comprehension and analysis, and 10% will be recall. So one thing I want to tell you, that as you have seen the basic pattern of next one, a heavy weightage has been given in the final year subjects, the third year and the third first and the third second. That is your ENT, opthal, gynecology, pediatrics, obstetrics, medicine, surgery, orthopedics, radiology. So all these subjects have been given more weightage, but don't fall into this trap that you will not have to pay any attention to the first and second year questions, because 10% of the MCQs from each stream will be from the basic applied sciences, that is anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, microbiology, pathology, as well as pharmacology. Okay, 10% of MCQs will come from preventive as well as social medicine. Just remember, no medicine question will be complete without having the knowledge of pharmacology, pathology, as well as physiology. So remember, you will not be able to answer a medicine question without having knowledge of pharmacology, physiology, and pathology. Similarly, you will not be able to answer certain surgery questions without having the prior knowledge of anatomy. So you have to keep these things in mind. Now this will be more clear further. I will give certain examples, certain questions I am going to give you, certain clinical vignettes, and that will clear your doubts. So what are these problem solving or comprehension analysis MCQs? So these are basically the clinical vignettes, that is the clinical based questions. Okay. So if you see, for example, this is one question, that is a 50-year-old man experienced an episode of chest pain 6 hours before his death. A histological section of the left ventricular myocardium taken at autopsy showed a deeply eosinophilic staining area with loss of nucleus and cross striations in myocardial fibers. Now, there were no hemorrhage or inflammation. So which of the following conditions most likely produce these myocardial changes? So if you see the options, viral infection, coronary artery thrombosis, blunt chest trauma, antibodies directed against myocardium, and protein deficient diet. So as we look at this particular question, so from the first line, episode of chest pain 6 hours before his death. So this looks like a question from medicine. But later on, when we read this green part, a histological section of left ventricular myocardium taken at autopsy is showing the deeply eosinophilic staining area. So from the first line, that is episode of chest pain, I get an idea that maybe this is the case of myocardial infarction. But reading the histological section, okay, of the left myocardium showing a deeply eosinophilic staining area with loss of nucleus and striations. So if you will go back to your pathology, then you will realize that yes, in necrosis we are having such a histological picture. So if you don't know about these things, then you will not be able to correlate. So here we are having some clinical clue from the medicine part, and we are having some pathological clue from the pathology part. So from here you will confirm that yes, this is the case of myocardial infarction. So this is called as integration. This is an integrative approach. You are integrating some knowledge from medicine and you're integrating some knowledge from pathology, and then you are coming to a conclusion. So now you know that it is myocardial infarction. So now see, even the options, in the options you don't see myocardial infarction, but you see certain causes of myocardium, and among that, if you go back to your pathology, Robbins, 90% of the cases of myocardial infarction is because of coronary artery thrombosis. Okay, so this is how you are going to get a question, and this is how you are going to answer. So before, in previous times, if you see the FMG or if you see the NEET PG questions, all of them were one-liners. The most common cause of myocardial infarction is coronary artery thrombosis, but now it is not. It is an application based. So in real life scenarios, you are getting certain patients, you are getting certain clinical features. So now you correlate and then you answer. So here both all different kinds of knowledge, okay, you will have to apply in a single exam. That is why if you see, it is a 3-day long exam. So you have to answer multiple questions, and you are given more time to solve the same amount of questions. Let us look at the second example. So here, a 90-year-old woman is diagnosed with Staphylococcus aureus pneumonia, and she receives a course of antibiotic therapy. Now 2 weeks later, she no longer has a productive cough, but she still has a temperature of 38.1 degrees centigrade. Now a chest radiograph shows a 3 centimeter rounded density in the left lower lobe of the lung, whose liquefied contents form a central air fluid level. Now there are no surrounding infiltrates. Which of the following terms best describes the outcome of patient's pneumonia? So this is a clinical question that they have given you, and they have given you one chest radiograph. So over here, if you see in the left lobe, you are having a certain well circumscribed area, okay, and what you are having, this is the air fluid level that I was speaking about. So all these findings correlate with the, and now I will give you the options. So complete resolution, no, it has not resolute, there is no resolution. Is it regeneration? No. Is it fibrosis? No. A chunk of the part, okay, there is no opacity. Is it abscess formation? Maybe, yes, because there is an air fluid level, okay. Or is it a progress to the chronic inflammation? So what will be the best answer over here? Because the patient is still having temperature, okay, and the patient but no longer is having a productive cough. So what has happened, that the patient, there is an abscess formation. What is an abscess? It is a localized collection of pus. That is why the patient is still having the temperature. So here, if you see, you need to know your microbiology, you need to know your pathology, you need to know your medicine. So you need to have an integrated approach. So the answer is abscess formation. So you have to correlate, okay, and sometimes you have to go, the answers will be very close to each other, okay, but what you have to do, you have to take certain points, okay, and you have to see in the best case scenario which is the best suited answer in this possible scenario. So it is all becoming application based, okay. There is no rote learning, there is no single answer to that question. It is all depending on how you can think, how you are able to think and apply, okay. Now, a third question, okay? A 36-year-old woman experienced severe abdominal pain with hypotension and shock that led to her death within 36 hours after the onset of pain. So this is the medicine part of the question. Now, from the gross appearance of the mesentery, which is shown in the figure, which of the following event has most likely occurred? So this is the basic image. A gross image has been applied to you, okay, has been given to you. So what can you see over here? See, they have given you certain clinical scenarios. What you are seeing in this image is actually fat necrosis. A saponification has occurred. The whitish areas in the image are the areas of fat necrosis. And if you see the clinical features or the clinical outcome of this pathological process, okay, just see what I'm saying. The clinical outcome of the pathological process is what? It is acute pancreatitis. So the clinical outcome is acute pancreatitis. The pathological scenario over here is fat necrosis. So you have to understand that this is called as integrative approach. So without knowing pathology, you are not going to answer the questions from medicine. This is all I wanted to tell you. Okay. So what can we learn from these clinical vignettes? So we need to have an integrated approach, as I already mentioned, meaning that you will have to be thorough with all the 19 subjects. For example, you cannot answer the questions from medicine without having knowledge about physiology, pathology, and pharmacology. Similarly, you will not be able to answer surgery questions without having prior knowledge of anatomy. Excuse me. Now about next two. So what is important about next two? So it is a post internship exam. So after you clear the internship, then you are going to have the exam. Secondly, it is a pass or a fail exam. It is not competition based exam. Again, it is a practical exam. It is a clinical skill assessment exam. So whatever clinical skills you are going to acquire during your internship years, that will be assessed. Okay. And it is going to give you two things. It is going to give you the final license to practice. Okay. So you can practice as a physician after that. Okay. As a general practitioner after that. Okay. So you will obtain a degree. Okay. You are going to obtain your undergraduate degree after you clear next two. Plus it is going to give you a ticket towards your post graduation based on the scores which you obtained in next one. Okay. So all of this, so now all of this that I have spoken about, next one, next two, the pattern, 3-day long exam, everything, it is a proposal, means there is a board of governors, okay, under the National Medical Council, NMC, okay, and on 15th February 2020 they have had a proposal, okay. But remember one thing, that all this is a proposal, nothing is confirmed. Some things might change, okay, they might be here and there, everything, but few things are going to remain the same. That means I am telling you there are some things that we can be sure about. What are those? We are sure that whatever type of questions that will come in future, it will be application based medicine. So you will all have application. Okay, there will be clinical vignettes, there will be real life case scenarios. Okay, and remember that next is very much real. So the exit exam will come. Okay, it is proposed to come in 2022, but it might get postponed because of the pandemic. But I will advise everyone, every students who have joined MBBS after 2017 to be prepared or to start preparing for next. Now moving ahead, now this is a very, very important question. Now anything from here is my point of view on next. So what is the importance of next? Okay, so listen to me very carefully. This is a very high stake exam, because at this point of time, it is not just about your post graduation, it is about your licensing, it is about getting your degree, it is about getting the fruit of all your labor in this last 4.5 years. So before, what happened, that Indian MBBS students who are studying in India, whether be private or government, they were sure that they have to clear final MBBS and then they are good to go for internship and they at least have a degree. But now it is not the case. Just like the foreign medical graduates, the Indian medical students will also have to give an exit exam. Okay, and that will be next. So it is a high stake exam and you should take this exam seriously. Okay, so this is not only for the foreign medical graduate, but it is also for the Indian MBBS students. Okay, moving ahead, will rote learning help? So as I've already seen, as we have seen that from the past years, if you see the pattern of FMG, if you see the pattern of NEET PG exam, so we have seen that there is a lot of, there's a rich component of rote learning. So we saw that any person who could, rote learn, okay, as we say ratta marna, okay, any person who will rote learn, okay, they can score very good marks. Okay, there was less of application, there was less of understanding, but more of rote learning. So is it going to help? The answer is a big no. So stop rote learning. If you don't understand anything in that point of time, okay, you either go to your reference book, you ask your friends, you ask more friends, you ask me, you can ask me, you can comment, you can ask in Quora, you can search in internet, you can go to your professors, teachers, but till your doubt is not clear, don't give up, because only and only if you clear your doubts and if you give up rote learning, that you can reproduce the same thing in your exams. Okay. Can any coaching institution guarantee you success in next? What do you think? So I will not say completely yes, I will not say completely no. I will say it depends on many factors. What are the factors? See, if the coaching institute is sticking to the traditional ways of teaching, what do I mean by traditional ways of teaching? That a teacher will come from morning 12 o'clock till night 8 o'clock, will keep on teaching, okay, and all this entire 19 subjects will be covered in 6 months of time. Only one liners they are going to tell you just few things, not everything. Okay, so that is not going to help you. Trust me on this, it will not help you, because all these coaching institutions, they are going to complete pathology in 4 days. You can see my lectures, okay, and you will understand that pathology cannot be completed in 4 days of coaching or in 4 days of lecture. No, pathology will never complete in that much time. Today the scenario is different. Today everything has changed. Today all these things, they are aimed at increasing the quality of medical students that we are going to get. So just remember that you cannot do any such coaching, okay, which is claiming that they are going to complete pathology or any other subject in 4 or 5 days of time, from morning 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock. We are morning 8 to night 8 o'clock, 12 hours of coaching. No, that is not going to change anything. Okay, that will be a disaster. So I will ask all of my viewers to abstain from any such coaching. But yes, on the other hand, if you have a nice coaching institute, okay, which is going to give you a lot of notes with explanation, which is not going to skip everything, which is not going to give just the factual questions, for example, most common cause is this, okay, or in which year this happened, or who is the founder, or who is the father. No, that is not important. That is not an important part of our curriculum. The important part is the clinical based learning, application based approach, how the knowledge of preclinical subjects can help you with your clinical subjects. This is where you have to master. Okay, moving ahead, does any coaching institute make toppers? So the answer is a big no. Okay, no coaching institute creates toppers. Toppers are toppers with or without coaching institute. It is their way of learning, their way of teaching, their way of learning, their way of their application, okay, their mindset that makes them a topper, not the coaching institute. Just remember, have you ever wondered why never any coaching institute published their success rates? Have you ever seen that? Because the reason is, if they see the number of people who have obtained the seats to the number of people that had joined the coaching, it is less than 3%. Okay, they get the PG medical seats of their choice. So if you go and see, if you ask them, you will get your answers. Okay. Now the one thing which is very common among all the toppers is that if you ask any topper, all the toppers, okay, just I will tell you personally, go and see in your classes, okay, in your college, your seniors, your juniors, okay, if you go and see, if you see their habit of learning, first important thing is that all of them, they are having standard books. They are following standard books, and they have the good habit of making their own notes. They understand and then they make their own notes. They will make their own flowchart. They will make their own tables. Okay, you can ask your friends. You must have seen, you can correlate with what I am trying to say, and in your heart you know what I am speaking about. See, any coaching institute, be it online or be it offline, they are going to give you one set of notes. Okay, and that set of notes will be available to every student. So how do you have an edge over the other student? No, you will not have an edge. You will only have an edge if you go back and if you take a standard textbook and if you start reading that. Okay, how should you approach next? The most important question of this particular video. So step by step I'm going to discuss every step. The first thing is you have to read the standard textbook. Throw away all the guidebooks, throw away all the MCQ books that is there before 2019. That is not going to help you. Okay, you will be in a big problem if you are following this. Okay, so read the standard textbooks. I cannot emphasize the importance of standard textbooks now. Second thing is read throughout the year. So one very common thing, okay, because I have been a medical student and I have seen the basic thing what happens in a medical college, be it government or be it private. So I have seen that there is a habit among students. What happened till now, they used to go in first year, second year, third year, fourth year. They will open the books just 1 month, 2 months before the exams. They are going to see the questions, the repeat questions for the last 5 years, and then they are going to just read those questions and then they are going to give the exam. No, if you do that, be sure maybe you will qualify next one, and maybe you will qualify next two, or you will pass next two. But for post-graduation it will be difficult, because post-graduation is based on next one, and next one score is competitive. So where there is competition, you will have to you are going to have to up your game, you have to improve your game. Okay, so you have to read throughout the year, meaning you have to be consistent throughout the year. Third important thing is make your own concise handwritten notes. Please, this is a request. Many of my students, they ask me to post all of my notes, the PDF of my notes, the PowerPoints they want. They are thinking that they just want to get a print of that. Okay, mind my friends, your concept is not going to get clear with my notes. Okay, that is why it is not healthy to just print out a note and to just read from the PDFs or the text. You have to make your own handwritten notes. It is only then that you will add value to it, and it is only then that your brain will give importance to it, and it is only then that you will be able to reproduce and integrate that knowledge with the subsequent subjects, clinical subjects. So the importance of handwritten notes cannot be more emphasized. The fourth important thing is now you have to attend clinical postings, because you are going to get a lot of clinical based questions. So the more you are going to attend the clinical postings, the more you will come across the patients, the more you will come across the case and the disease, the more interest you will have, the more you can be able to elicit signs, okay, ask about the symptoms of the patient. So the more you will have the practical exposure, the better it will be for your next one, because a lot of questions will be clinical based questions. So you will have to attend clinical postings. And one more thing, your clinical postings, if you see, will start anywhere in the world, be it India or be it abroad. The diseases are the same, the topics are same, the books are the same. So you have to start attending the clinical posting from second MBBS itself. Okay, doesn't take a lot of time. Go every day, half an hour, 45 minutes, go with your friends, see some patients, okay, look through their files, go through their files, ask few questions to the attending doctors or the resident doctors over there. Okay, they will help you out. The fifth important thing is try to see as many images as possible. Okay, you have to make use of your eyes and your ears. This is very, very important. Okay, this is a classical most important sign of a good doctor, of a good medical student, is that because in the medical field, okay, you have to be very sound, okay, with both your medical knowledge that is in your brain, with both whatever images are there in your mind. It is very, very important, because you will see a number of image based questions that is going to come in next. The sixth important thing is you solve clinical based MCQs. Now I have seen, I am putting up as fast as possible a number of clinical based questions. Okay, and these questions I have come across several books, several nice authenticated books. Okay, and these questions are very, very important. What I found that not many students have solved these questions. So don't run away from these questions. Absolutely, you're going to make mistakes, but if you don't make your mistakes now, you are definitely going to make mistakes in your next exam. Okay, so solve as many clinical based MCQs as you can. Don't ignore your first and second year MBBS. No, you will not be able to answer next without them. Remember this thing. You focus on the simple things. Okay, take one step at a time and be consistent. Means, for example, now if you are a first year student, think about the 3 subjects that you have to do well. You have anatomy, you have physiology, you have biochemistry. Now I have to have a basic approach. I have to divide my time among these 3 subjects. Just remember these things. So in a very swift manner, I am going to let you know the basic standard books that you should follow. Okay, for anatomy, you can follow Gray's Student. Okay, it's a very nice book, not the big Gray's, but the smaller Gray's Students. Then for physiology, I cannot emphasize you the importance of Ganong. Okay, Ganong is a very beautiful book. For biochemistry, first I will tell you to go for Harper's, but if you cannot read Harper's, at least read the important topics from Harper's. Else you can go for Satyanarayan. Second, for pharmacology, Kartzung is a very, very nice, a very important, a very nice, and it can be completed in your second year itself. Okay, if you cannot, then at least keep it as a reference book and keep KDT, that is KD Tripathi, as your main book. For pathology, no other book. With this new next coming in, Robbins, because concept building is very, very important. For FMT, Reddy is the book of choice. For microbiology, Anand Narayan or Babeja will do. Thirdly, for ophthalmology, Parsons is a very, very nice book. Okay, but if you have not read Parsons, even Khurana is nice. But for the first time, if you are reading, then go for Parsons. For PSM, I need not tell you, Park is the most important book, but read the latest edition. And for ENT, one golden book is there, that is Dhingra. It has all answers to all of your questions. Now, fourth, for medicine, again, it is a very big syllabus. Now, the book of choice, the biggest book, the Bible of medicine, is Harrison's. But trust me, it is a very big book. And unless and until you have started Harrison's in your second year, you cannot complete in the final year. So what I suggest students, that Harrison's, go for the charts and tables of Harrison's. Okay, now there are 3 important books. Either of these books you can choose, but read that book completely. Either CMDT, which is an excellent book, and it is a very underrated book, CMDT, that is Current Medical Diagnosis and Treatment. API is also a good book, or you can read Davidson also. But I would suggest you to go for Harrison's and CMDT. Now, for surgery, again, a very lucid and a very nice book is Bailey and Love. If you can read that book, then please go for that book. My second choice will be SRB, and my third choice will be Manipal for surgery. For obstetrics and gynecology, as you know, Datta is enough for obstetrics as well as gynecology. But there is one more famous, not a very famous book, but a very, very, a nice book, conceptual book is Omachi Gui, and it is only for obstetrics. For pediatrics, you can go for OP Ghai as well as Meherban Singh. Okay, Meherban Singh has a very nice practical book, so you can read both of them. It will help you a lot. Okay, so this is all about what approach you should have for next. Now, for pathology, okay, in terms of pathology, because I teach pathology, you should read my notes, whatever notes I have given you, and you should listen to my lectures multiple times. You should make your own handwritten notes, okay? It shouldn't be that someone else is writing and then you go, you take it. No, it will never be the same. It will never ever be the same. Whenever you have some doubt, and you will have doubt, if you are watching my lectures, okay, maybe you don't have many doubt, but if you don't have a single doubt, then I doubt you. Because any book, however good it be, okay, any lecture, however good it be, okay, you will still have 1 or 2% or 10% doubts will be there. Having doubts is a good thing. So whenever you are in doubt, you can ask me in comment. I have given my email ID. You can email me. You can refer to the standard textbook, that is Robbins. Okay, for any kind of doubt, you should always clear your doubt. Not clearing your doubt will not solve your problem. Okay, remember, I have already explained to you, revision is the key to success. Without revision, you cannot do anything. And for revision, multiple revision notes are necessary. You cannot revise textbooks before your next exam. Second important thing is, I want to stress, anatomy, physiology, pathology, pharmacology, they will form the pillars for your success. Do not ignore them under any circumstance. Do attempt my MCQs. I told you, okay, I have started giving MCQs, but the response is not many. Okay, trust me, they will benefit you immensely. The difference between those who will make it and those who will not isn't trying. Because if you don't try, you will not make a mistake. Only those who will try will learn from their mistakes, and they will not repeat their mistakes in next exam. So just understand these few important points that I have mentioned today. So thank you very much guys for watching this lecture. I hope you find this beneficial, and please do comment and please do subscribe. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for my further lectures.